All right, so let's start the session. Welcome once again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We are back with yet another webinar series. The topic is template creation for Archicad projects. So this webinar series is going to be conducted from 17th of February until 17th of March. So for 5 sessions, every Thursday at 5 p.m. So please block your calendar and then try to join all the sessions live to know more about template creation for Archicad projects. All right, let's get started. So here is the agenda for the webinar series. So if you see here on the first session, we are going to see the BCA templates for architectural, structural, and MEP disciplines. And we will also see some tips and tricks for people who are migrating from other BIM and CAD tools. Okay. And on the next session, which is on 24th of February, we'll be setting up the project preferences and we'll set up the project structure in the navigator, and then we will also see how to use the translators, how to manipulate the translators to export the DWG and then the IFC files from the project. And then on 3rd of March, we will see the element attributes for Archicad project template setting up. And then on 10th March, we'll be seeing how to manage the documentation, library, and then the family, favorites inside the Archicad projects. And then on 17th of March, that is at the final session, we will see Archicad template migration from lower version to the higher version. So how you can migrate from a lower version to a higher version will be shown on the last session. All right, so if you guys have any question, you can wait for the Q&A session at the end, and then you can unmute yourself to ask the question, or else you can put it on the chat box so that we will try to answer it every now and then. All right, so let's get started. So the first is BCA templates that we have. So we have for all three disciplines, architectural, structural, and MEP. So when you do a template in Archicad projects, there are two methods you can follow to create the templates. So one is to dedicate a time to create your template, and then the other one is to start off with the project, and then you do the changes inside the projects and the settings everywhere. And then once the project is over, you can save the project as a template file without any 3D data in it. So that becomes your template file. So there are two methods. One is to dedicate time to just create your template. The other one is to start off with the project and then go along with the project and do the changes inside so that you can save the project at the end as a template file. So here in this webinar, we are recommending to start off with the BCA templates that we will give you. So you can download it from the CoreNet website. So here is the QR code. You can just go there and then download the respective discipline templates from there along with their guide. So you can see here we have for the latest version, which is the Archicad 25 version, we have both the template and then the template guide listed on the website. So you can just download it from there and then you can use that template and then you can create your project. So during the due course of developing your project, you will be doing some changes inside the settings, and then you will create a structure inside your project which can be exported, which can be saved as a template file later. So that becomes your company template for your future projects. Okay, so today we'll be seeing how to use the BCA templates, and then I'll go through the guide for you guys to understand more about the templates that we have here. All right, so for Malaysian users, we are also preparing a starter pack. We have already completed preparing the content. We are currently testing the architectural template. So once it is tested and final, we'll be launching it, and then you can use the standard architectural template along with the starter kit guide. And then we also have a BEP template for Malaysia. So you guys can use that also. Okay, so let me all right, so here is the website from where you can download the templates from. Okay, so you can see here we have Archicad 25 template for architectural discipline, structural discipline, and also for MEP discipline. All right, so let me go to the architectural template first. You can see here we have the getting started here. Once you download the template, you will have the template file along with your libraries. So you can see the architectural library along with general library. So these are the three files that you will be downloading it from the architectural template. Okay, so once it is downloaded, you can open it in Archicad, and then you can choose the template, locate the template file on your mission, and then you'll be able to use it and then join the project with architectural profile 25. So you are creating a new project here. So the next step is to check the libraries. So if you check on the libraries, you might have some missing libraries there. You need to go to the library manager under file, libraries and objects, library manager, to fix the location of the library, relocate the libraries, and then you can click reload and apply here to get the libraries missing solved. Okay, so these are the two libraries that you'll be downloading. So architecture, GSSG Arc library, and then GSSG general
Diagram.
library. All right. So the next thing, you can go ahead and check your navigator. So if you see under the navigator, we have project map, view map, and then the layout book, and then the publisher sets. So we have already customized it to the extent where you can start using it for your authority submissions. You can develop the model, and then you will have all the authority submission templates there that you can use to create the project. All right, so the next step, you can go ahead and set the stories. So by default, there are 10 stories set in the project. You can just edit it to the one that is required for your project. Okay. And then the next step you should do is to set the location of your project. So you will have the survey data. Let me just try to make it a little bit bigger. Yeah. All right, you will have the project location data. You can enter the latitude, longitude, and then the time zone here, along with the sea level of your project, altitude from the sea level of your project. And then on the north, easting and northing, you need to enter the value in millimeters, and then it should be in negative. Okay, so both should be in negative along with your elevation. It also entered in millimeters in negative, meaning you're bringing the project from that location to the project origin. Okay, so that's the idea here. Okay, and along with that, you can also set your north angle. So you can either manually type the value here, or you can use this handle to rotate and set the angle. All right, the next is project preferences. Under options, project preferences, and then the reference levels, you will be able to see the Singapore height datum. So this one this one comes from your sea level. So the height datum also you can change, and also you can use the second reference level to any of the references that you want to have in your project. Okay, so you can see here, once you start setting up your reference level here, you can start using it inside the dimension settings. So if you go under the story level symbols and text panel, you can see the reference level can be used here. So under the elevation dimension settings, you can use the Singapore height datum as the reference. Okay. All right, so the next step is to bring in the context within the model, that is the site information. So if you are having a DWG file, the surveys data, if it is in DWG file, you can you can directly import it inside the project by dragging and dropping, or you can attach an XREF for the file. Okay, so there are pros and cons for both the methods. You can follow whichever method is suitable for you. Okay, so if you're placing or if you're directly importing, it means that you're adding the information, DWG information, into the project. And if it's an XREF, it is just a reference, so you can just remove it anytime when you don't need the information in your project. So this one, DWG, placing it inside the drawing, it's adding into the project. You need to delete it if you don't want it. All right, so if you have so if the surveys data is in DWG file, right, you will be able to export it in a TXT file format, and then you can use that file format to import it inside the Archicad. and then place the mesh inside as a topography. Okay, so you can see here you can enter the height manually, or if you have the txt file you can just simply import it. Okay, so here it is shown, so you can see here you can have the txt file and then you can simply import and just create the mesh data. The next is using the point cloud. So if you have 3D scanned the context, you can use point cloud and then you can import it inside the project. This is not mostly used by any of the users. So if in case you're using this method, you can go ahead with it. So here are the steps. You can just import point cloud data from, file interoperability and import point clouds. So here is an example of the point cloud data inside Archicad. All right, so let's see the view map here. So the view map is set in such a way that you can start using it for your authority submission. So you have BCA, FSSD, URA, LTA, NParks, PUB, NEA, and we also have schedules here along with the cover page. So inside the cover page, you will have all the list of drawings that you need to submit for the authority. Okay, so we have the quick options toolbar on the bottom of the Archicad user interface, using which you can manipulate the settings like layers, model view options, graphic overrides, and all. So make sure it is turned on so that it is easy for you guys to work on the project. So if it's not turned on, just go to Windows, Palettes, quick options menu. It will open the toolbar for you guys. All right, the next is the favorites. So inside the template, we have favorites within every tool. So if you go and hover over any of the tool there, so you will see an arrow at the end on the right side. So if you click the arrow, you will have the favorites. And inside the favorites, we have a folder called BIM submission, inside which all the favorites are saved. So you can use those favorites, or if in case you want to edit them, you can do it and then save it inside your template. Okay, so there are some default and then the structural element, BIM submission. These are some of the folders that we have inside the favorites for different tools inside Archicad. Okay, so if you want to transfer the settings of your favorites from your favorites to any of the elements, you can use the pickup parameters and then transfer the settings to the components. So you can see here for transferring the settings, we have different options here. So you can find you can customize the settings that you want to transfer from the favorites to the elements. So for that, you can use this element transfer settings, which you can reach from edit menu and then go to the element settings and then the element transfer setting. And you can also use find and select criteria. So here are some of the criteria that we have placed on the template, so you can make use of it, or if you want to create few more, you can just go and create under the edit element settings and edit selection sets. Okay, all right, next is preparing the file for the submission. So if you want to have 3D plans, so inside the template we have the 3D plans created already. So you can just go and then use the cutaway plane to restrict the 3D view to any particular floor level. Okay, so you can see here, you can go here under the cutaway. You can redefine with current window settings. Let me show. Yeah, so you can use the filter and cut elements in 3D. And then you can define the story here. So it is limited to just one story, from the bottom of the story to the top of that story, so that in the 3D you will just see only that particular information. And then in the parallel settings and then in the 3D projection, you can go to the parallel settings, and then you can just see the 3D view in a plan. And then you can use your graphic overrides like accessibility, and then which will show the 3D information in plan. It just looks like a plan. Okay, so the next is accessibility and ventilation. So the first topic is accessibility routes. So to create accessibility routes in Archicad, we are using the wall tool. Okay, so under the favorites, inside the accessibility symbols and objects, we have these favorites which can be used. Okay, So you can see here accessibility route 12,000 by 100, or accessibility route 1,500 by 100, or the accessibility route 1,800 by. So you can use these. So once you come here, you can double click to activate the tool, and then it will open the the wall settings, where you can go and check for some information like element classification. So make sure it is unclassified, and then the ID is according to your company standards. And then the functional structural function, you can make it undefined, and then in the layer you can choose an appropriate layer. Okay, and then you can use the any method here, construction method, to draw the accessibility routes. Okay, so the next is accessible doors. So the main difference between the accessible doors and this door is that the normal door and then the accessible door is that the accessible doors will have minimum spaces defined, and then it will be shown automatically on the accessibility plans and then in 3D. Okay, so you can see here inside the door favorites, we will have accessible doors here. Again, when you double click the component, you can go inside and check for the classification and properties, and then check if all the information inside are good enough to place the doors in your model. Okay, so next we can place clearance boxes in 3D. So for placing the clearance boxes, we are using the object tool here. So inside the object tools favorites, and inside the folder accessibility symbols and objects, we have clearance box there. So you can make use of that. You can just double click that and then go to the settings to define the geometry of it if you want a different geometry. And then you can place it after checking your classification and properties inside the settings. Okay, and while placing, make sure you use the rotated diagonal geometry method when you're placing it, so that you can just orient the clearance box according to your door. Okay. So the next is zone accessibility. So for zone accessibility, again, we have certain parameters inside the zone tool settings, which you can define. So if you see here under our key regulatory requirements, you can use the accessible parameter that has been created already in the template, and then you can change it to true here. Okay. So when you're placing it inside the model, and if you're placing it inside the wall that is new, the renovation filter for the zone will also be set to new automatically. So you need to be careful when you're placing the zone inside. Okay, so once you place all the all the accessibility route and all, so you'll be able to see in the schedules all this information. So if the place is accessible, you can see whether it is true or false based on the zones there. Okay, so by default, all the zones are mechanical. You can go and change it according to your project needs. All right, so here is a sample 2D and 3D here. All right, so the next is mode of ventilation. Again, we are going to use a zone tool to show the mode of ventilation here. And then we have inside the properties for zone tools, we have certain components. So here you can see, so the mode of ventilation property can be used here. So you can choose from there what is the mode of ventilation. And then it can be scheduled also. Here is the 3D and 2D sample. All right, the next is lift. Okay, so the accessibility lift card is also again available inside the object tool. Okay, so you can use this, and then you can go to the favorites and then check for the lifts and then use these accessible lift cards. Okay, so double click them and then you can assess the classification and properties so that you can change it according to the standards before placing them into the model. Okay, and we also have some 2D symbols for accessibility. So here are a few of them, like PWD area, the seating, the symbol of access, and all that. So you can place them, and then it can be scheduled also. So if you go to the schedules, you will have the EA vertical bar lifts, A meaning architectural, vertical bar and lifts. So if you go inside that, it will automatically be listing all the schedule information that you have placed inside the model. And the next is toilets and toilet compartments. So you can either create the toilets individually, or you can use this compartments. So for both of them, we have different settings, and then those can be just listed here like this. So here this is for the toilets, and the other one is for the toilet compartments, which you can find it inside the schedules. So you can see it's the name is toilet compartments, and this one is toilets under elements. Okay, so under the accessibility objects, we also have other objects like detectable warning surface and PWD area, and then the parking lot symbol. So you can make use of them inside your project. So if in case you want to change anything on the settings, you can just use them, change the settings, and then place it inside the model. All right, the next topic is schedules. Um, So you can see we have accessible seating. So this one is for audience seating, based on the object that you have used from the template. You can just schedule them here. So let me just try to go a little bit faster. So you have hearing enhancement systems also. So once you place them inside the model, it will automatically be scheduled based on the stories and then the room. Okay. And then the next is parking lot, which can be scheduled as well. So you can just use them and then manipulate the settings, and then get it scheduled inside your schedules. Okay. We also have accessible or elder friendly rooms. So for hospitality projects, so you can use that, and then you can go inside the settings, and then change the zone purpose for the zone, and then you can get it listed on the schedules. So you can see here we have accessible rooms, and then we also have elder friendly rooms. So these are both schedules already available. So once when you use those zones inside the project, it will automatically be listed here on the schedules. Okay, so the next is all rooms. So under the all rooms schedule, you will have all the rooms, the mode of ventilation, the area of it, whether it is accessible space, and then the for hospitality projects, you can get this information, and then the quantity. Okay. Right, the next is stairs. So stairs is also scheduled under BCA BP staircase schedule. You can take a look at it. Okay. The next is shelter. So we have shelter favorite, which under the zone tool, you can make use of it, and then you can use the category here, which is predefined already, and just make sure you follow the steps here, and then create the zone. Okay, so you can see the household shelter and story shelters that are shown in the schedule here. Okay, so you can find them under element shelters. Okay. So here is the 3D information, and then the 2D information of the shelters. Okay, so the next is area tabulation for GFA calculation. So again, we are going to use zone tool for this. So we have the favorites already created, and you can see under the categories, you can choose GFA zone. Okay, so you can select the necessary information under the zone settings, inside the zone stamp. So you can show as the necessary information on the stamp as per the standards that you follow. Okay, so here we show zone name, measured area, and then the classification and properties. So the next is strata. Strata also we are recommending to use zone tool, or we can also use morph for that. So here inside the template we are using zone tool. You can choose the category from the zone tool settings, and then you can get it scheduled inside this URA LV strata schedules. So if you in case you want to change anything on the criteria or the schema of the zone of the schedules, you can just go inside and then just change the schema so that the schedule will be listing the necessary information according to your requirement. Okay, so we also have SGFA schedules here. So there are four. You can go here inside the zone settings and then choose the building type, and then based on that, it will be scheduled inside these schedules. All right, the next is cover page. So cover page is again a folder inside the view map, which will have all the views and drawings and schedules listed here for your authority submission. So automatically all the views that you have created and then the drawings along with the schedules will be listed here. All right, the next is for amendment ANA works and then for resubmissions. So you can use the renovation filter there. So the renovation statuses have new elements to be demolished and then planned if you have. So if in case you want to select the existing elements, all of them, and then convert uh, to set to existing, so you can use this tool. So the renovation reset renovation status, which helps to set for all the elements under selection. Okay. So you can also use, you can check for the graphic overrides inside the renovation filter settings for three, types like existing elements, elements to be demolished, and then for the new elements. All right, so you can also perform collision detection with your model if in case you want to improve the quality of your BIM model. So we have option to do that inside Archicad where you can find from design, model check, and then collision detection. So you can define the criteria between checking for different components. Say, for example, you can check, the collision between the structural and then the architectural components. So you can just define the criteria, and based on that definition, you can just get the report. So if you have any collision, you can just double click this, so it will zoom into that particular collision in your 2D, or you can just right click and then see it in 3D also. All right, so here are some of the steps to merge the template from an existing company template. So what you can do is you can just go to the respective dialog boxes like favorites, and then you can use the option like import or export, and then just export it and then import it into the new template. So similarly for the attributes, you have option to export here, and then later you can just import it within the next project. Okay. So the project info also can be exported and imported. Okay. So here in the publisher sets, we have already created some of the publisher sets which you can use for your submission. So if you want to create any more, you can use the organizer to create your publisher set. So this we'll try to show it in the following sessions how to do this. All right, so here are the renovation filters. You can see for the ANA works, this is how it looks as per the CP83 standard. So we have followed CP83 standards to just show the renovation filter as per the standards. Okay. So the submission requirement final is we need to submit the file in PLA file format. So you need to just create a PLA file. So for that, go to file and then save as, and then choose the PLA file file type to save, and then you can give that for submission. And then for the naming convention, you can follow the standards from here. Okay, the final checks is to check the model that you have done. So basically, if you have any drawings that you have been referenced to the external drawing, you just need to go to the drawing settings and then make sure this option is turned on. So you can store the drawings inside the file if in case it is coming from an external drawing, so that when you're doing the submission, you can just the authority will see the information that you are seeing inside your model, okay, without any missing data. All right, so that's about structural. Let's go to, architectural. Let's go to the structural template. I'll try to go faster on this. All right, so here we have one model concept or reference model concept. So one model concept meaning you can create the model. You can develop your model within the same file for all three disciplines. So for a structural and MEP, along with architecture, you can just model within one file that can be hosted on your BIM cloud. So for reference model, you will just send the model over to the other discipline so that they can hotlink the model, and then they can just create their own model. So that's how it works. So depending on your interest, so if you follow the one model concept, definitely the productivity is improved, because you are keeping yourself updated of all the changes what the other discipline is doing, so that you can take decisions then and there. So coordination becomes very easier. Okay, so let me explain the structural workflow here with the example. So what we get is, from the architectural team, you will get the architectural block file. So inside the block, we will have typical floors, different typical floors, and inside the typical floor files, you will have the units. So these units will be hotlinked from another file. So this architectural block file can be hotlinked to an empty structural block file, so that, okay, let me try to zoom in a bit. Right. Okay. So, so you can have the architectural file linked to your structural file, so that you can use that as a reference and start modeling your, structural components inside. So for roofs and foundations, you need to create your own components within the file, and then you can go ahead and create your documentation sets, which you can publish in different file formats. Okay, so here are some of the examples for the workflow. So as you can download the templates from the Coordinate website for three different disciplines. So you can just create your company template and then put it on the file server so that everybody can access it. And then for each discipline, you will have an Archi based file, structural based file, and MEP based file. And then you can host all of them inside the BIM cloud. And then Archi will be hot linked to the structural and MEP file, so that they can use that as a reference, and then the MEP and structural team will create the model. So this is the traditional way of doing. Let's see the next method, where you can use the one integrated model concept. So here we have the templates downloaded from the Coordinate website and then put it on the file server. And then for shared attributes, you can just import it from one template to the other template, so that this server file, so your server will have the updated company template. So once that is done, you can create your solo architectural base file, MEP, and then structural, and then you can have a integrated model where the Archi model will be created, and then that model will be shared with the structural and then the MEP team. Okay, so they can just come in and then do the modeling. So if in case you want a hot link to the model, you can you can just hot link and then create your own models for three different disciplines in the teamwork project. Okay. So let me just go a little bit faster. So here is the library management. You can add the libraries to your BIM cloud, or if in case if you have your file server, you can just have it on the file server and use it. So if you have BIM cloud, you can add your libraries on the BIM cloud and use it across different projects. Okay, so here is getting started is very similar to what I shown in the architectural template. So once you receive the architectural model, and if you are referencing it to the structural model, so you can start creating your own components. So under the favorites of each of the component tools, you will have the favorites. Based on that, you can just use and then create your components. So let me go a little bit faster. We have slabs, columns. We also have grid system. So grid system basically comes from the architectural file. So you can just make it visible on all stories, and then you can reference from it, or you can create your own grids inside your structural file. So the next is favorite. So this is very similar to what we saw in the architectural template. So let me go a little bit faster. So the next is the core information. So if in case you want to create properties, so we have structural vertical bar, and then you can name as per your requirements. So let me show. So you can create your properties, and then those properties will have their types. So here it's an option shed, and then you can choose the options from there. And if it's a true or false value, you can just give any value, default value, or you can change it inside the element settings. So you need to assign all these properties to proper elements based on the classification. Okay, the next is work environment profile. So just for structural template, we have created a work environment profile, which you can download from along with this template and then the template guide. So you can use that so that it's easy for you to get all the tools inside the toolbox, which is very related to structural. Okay. Hot linking the architectural project. Here are some of the steps that you can follow to hot link the model. So if it's for a teamwork project, you can directly hot link the architectural model itself. You need not publish it as a mod file and then do the hot link. Okay, so the plan representation and modeling in structural projects. So you have to model the foundations and then the roof inside the structural project, and then you need to create details of connections, and also you have to create individual schedules that are related to the structural submission, and then you need to assemble and then do the documentation for it. Okay. So we also have some of the structural object library inside the template. So you can see GSSG STR library, which comes along with the template. You can make use of them. So let me show you some of the components there. So here you can see 2D library parts. So the break line, detail marker, reinforcement, slab slope, top steel, all that you can make use of inside your project to represent the 2D information inside the project. And we also have 3D objects like foundations. So here we have pile cap, and all this pile cap representations as per the standards. So if in case you use the default tools like slabs and columns, you will not be able to get the standard representation in the floor plan. So in order to avoid that, you can make use of this object that we have created. So the representation is as per the standards. You can see here. And then the navigator, which is very similar to the Archi template. So you have different working views and then the submission views that you can manipulate to before you do the submission. Okay, so for the floor plan cutting, it's a bit different from the architectural template. So here we'll be using relative floor plan range. So the current story to 2000, and then on the bottom on the current story on the bottom level we go 1000 lower. So you can understand from here. Okay, so from the current story it is 2000, and from on the down it is 1000. So this is the view range for the structural drawings. Okay, so you can Alright, so we also have structural specific graphic overrides inside the template for the plans, details, for architectural reference only, and then for key elements, highlights, schedules, and all that. So basically, alright, so if you go inside those graphic overrides, you will have the rules for different override, and then based on that rule, it will be applying the 2D information inside your view. The details and schedules, we also have predefined details and schedules based on the requirement for submission. You can just manipulate after going inside the schema, and then you can create it as per your requirements. Okay, so the schedules. So here you can use the XML file format to transfer the settings to the architectural. So if in case required, the next is attributes, lines, and layer combination. So you can find structural specific requirements inside these attributes. which you can make use of it. The next is documentation. The documentation, again, the layouts is prepared based on the structural submission templates. Okay. So here you can see under the publisher sets for different submission requirements, we have created the publisher sets accordingly, which you can make use of. Again, the submission file format is the same PLA file format. Make sure all the information that you have entered in the model is correct, and then have the cover page at the first as a first one, and then you can save it as a PLA file and then do the submission. So the naming convention is as per the requirement. Okay, as I told earlier, if you have referenced any external drawings, make sure store drawings in the project file is turned on so that the drawing is saved along with the file. Right, let me go to the MEP template a little faster. So this is very similar to architectural structural. So we can use the one model concept, and again, the workflow is you can directly hot link the architectural model or just go along with the integrated modeling concept, something like this. Okay, let me just make it a little bit bigger. So the library management and then all these are same as what we saw in the structural template. So again, we have an work environment for work environment profile, which helps you to just have only the MEP related components inside the toolbox so that you can make use of that. Okay. So you can see how to hotlink the architectural project, and then you can start your MEP modeling inside the MEP file. And then here is the property information, how to use the property manager to create properties inside the yeah, elements here. Okay, so here is the property manager, and if you see MEP vertical bar and then the name of the property groups is listed here. So here you can use classification systems. We are using two classification systems. You can either use Archicad classification version 2.0 or MEP submission classification version 1. Okay, so this one is a simplified when compared to the default one here. Okay, so you can choose to use whichever classification system you want inside your project. Okay, plan representation and modeling an MEP project. So here the favorites also, we have favorites for different component types, just like what we have in architectural and structural templates. Okay, so you can use element transfer settings to transfer the element settings from favorites to your components. Okay, so if you have hot linked module from the architectural file, you may not find the connections there inside. So for that, you need to create a small segment and then you can start your routing. So modeling workflow and routing is based on the MEP routing tools here. So you can use this. So here you can choose before you do the routing, you can choose the layer, you can choose the MEP system, and then you can do the routing. So we have MEP object library for different components. The MEP object library is quite extensive. You can download it along with the template, and you can find different kinds of objects like electrical, mechanical, plumbing. So inside each we have different subfolders which have a wide range of libraries inside. Okay, so we also have libraries for 2D symbols inside the template here. Here are some of the 3D objects. Okay, library management. So here is the sample that you can create using the library that we have provided. Okay, so if you, in case you want to have any 2D information, you can use line, polyline, or arc tool to create the 2D information on your plans, floor plans, and then you can represent those the requirements of your MEP drawings in 2D. In case you don't want to have 3D there. Okay. So the navigator, again, it has all the requirements for the submissions. So inside view map, you can find all the subfolders which will have all the templates set, the settings set on the views, which you can use in your project. So if in case you want to do any changes, you can go to the view settings and then do it and then save it with the project. And then in the final, you can just export it as a template file format. Okay, so let me just go a bit faster. So here are some of the MEP systems that are available inside the template. So if in case you want to create more, you can just create inside the Archicad. The graphic overrides, which are pertaining to the MEP, is also added to the template, so you can use all of them. So here are the explanation for each of the graphic override that we have used inside the template. Okay, so here we have lines, layer combinations for MEP specific drawings. Okay, so you can create section diagrams and worksheets. So if in case you want to have any detail or anything, you can just go and then bring the external drawing inside the worksheets, and then you can explode them into the current view, and then you can manipulate that, and then you can place that worksheet inside the layouts. Okay, so again, for amendment and ANA works or reconstruction submission, you can use the renovation filters. And if you want to change the status of all the elements in one go, you can use this renovation status reset dialog box. Okay, so here is the representation based on CP83. So we can also perform collision detection if in case you want to improve the quality of your model. So you can perform the collision detection between the MEP and then the architectural or the structural model, so that you can just resolve the collision before you do the submission. And again, for documentation, we have the layouts and then publisher sets predefined. You can make use of them to do your submission. And then the submission requirement can be in PLA file format. So you can save the project by bringing in the cover page to the front and in a PLA file format and do the submission. Before you do the submission, make sure all the external drawings are stored within the project file. All right, so let me go back to the slides. All right, so we have seen all the template guide. We saw how to use the template. So now we see some tips for the Revit users. So how to migrate from Revit to Archicad, and how to look into the different features in Revit when compared to those features in Archicad for your template. Okay. So for project location, we have project base point in Revit and then project survey point. And similarly, we also have in Archicad, we have project origin. So this project base point is movable, and this project origin is not movable. And then we also have survey point. So this survey point we can be used to export information in different file formats when you like IFC and all. So you can use this survey point as the origin and then export your project. So it's a bit more efficient now to handle the survey point and then the project origin. Okay. And then we have project for doing the project navigation inside Revit. We have project browser, and inside here we have navigator, and also we have organizer. So you can use organizer to organize your project information within the project. So by default, we'll use the navigator here. Okay. And for overrides inside Revit, we have visibility graphics, and then we use filters to do the overrides. And inside Archicad, we have graphic overrides. So we can also create rules for those graphic overrides, and based on those rules, graphic overrides will be applied. For the layer management, Revit doesn't have any layers, but it goes by element types. Okay. And for Archicad, we have layers, and we also have layer combinations, and we can create layer combinations based on the CP83 standards, which is already included inside the project, the BCA template. So you'll be able to find that. So for Revit, when you want to export it in case like DWG file format, you need to map the elements before exporting. But for Archicad, you can use the layers, default layers, and then do the exports. Or if in case you want to change the layers also, you can use the DWG translators to manipulate the layer to map the layers between the Archicad and then the DWG layers. Okay. And then for view settings, we have view templates. In Archicad, we have view settings, model view options. So view settings is for particular view and model view options is for the global project. Okay, global level, the all the views inside the project. And then for pens, in Revit, we have colors by filters, and inside Archicad, we have pen sets. We can also create pen sets which follow the CP83 standards inside Archicad. And then for library management, we have families inside Revit, and inside Archicad, we call them objects. Okay. And then for the information in BIM, that is the metadata, we have the parameters. So we have global parameters, shared parameters, and so on in Revit. And inside Archicad, we have properties. So we can have project info also. We have the property manager to manage the properties between different component types. And then we have amendment and ANA works. Inside Revit, we do facing. And then inside Archicad, we call it renovation filters. Okay. And then for the title block inside Revit, we use the family, and in Archicad, we use master layout. So when you want to bring in the DWG file for the title block, we can just drag and drop inside the master layout and then explode it in the view and then edit it. For family, you need to create a family using the by linking the DWG file into the family, and then you can use it inside the project. And for the structure, for the elements, say for example for walls, slabs, and columns, and so on, in Revit we have element type settings. So inside the element type settings, we can define the structure of the element. And for Archicad, we have composites, so we can define the composites globally and then assign it to different element types. Just by like you can assign it to shell, you can assign it to roof, walls, and slabs. Okay. And then for the classification system, inside Revit, it is just attached as a parameter which is used only when you are exporting the file. But for Archicad, it supports multiple classification systems, and then the classification can be used for multiple purposes within the project. You can use it for the project property manager. You can use it in the schedules. When you're exporting an IFC, it can also be used. So inside Archicad, we can use it in multiple places, the classifications. For publishing, we have the export option, supports only CAD file formats in Revit, but in Archicad, we can export in multiple file formats like PDF, DWG, IFC, and BIMX, and so on. So multiple file formats are supported when it's compared to Revit. So the next is for the AutoCAD users. So when you're migrating from AutoCAD to Archicad, let's see the feature comparison. The project location is by coordinate system, and in Archicad, as I told earlier, it's project based, the base point, project origin, and then the survey point. And then for view navigation, we don't have anything like that in AutoCAD, so we just have project browser in Archicad. And then for overrides is done by layers and by entities in AutoCAD, and in Archicad we have graphic overrides as we saw earlier. And then for layers, we have layer filters, and we can also create CP83 standard representation inside AutoCAD. And in Archicad, we have layers, and then we also have layer combinations for different views, and then using which we can create the CP83 standard representation. And then for view settings, we don't have view settings inside AutoCAD, and inside Archicad, we have view settings and model view options to manipulate the views. And then for pens, pens is by layers, by entities, and plot styles inside AutoCAD. And for Archicad, we have pen sets which can be used to create CP83 representation. So these pen sets will have the thickness for the lines and along with the colors. And for library, we have block inside AutoCAD. We have used objects inside Archicad. And for the information in BIM, we cannot create the properties or parameters inside the AutoCAD. So we have property manager inside Archicad to manage the information. And then for amendment and ANA works, we have layer. We can use the layer and then do the presentation. And for Archicad, we have renovation filters. So for title block, again, it's a block inside AutoCAD. And for Archicad, it's a master layout. So you can use the master layout settings to manipulate the master layout anytime. And then for structure, we have to handle it manually. So we have to create the structure for each component manually using the lines and fills. But in Archicad, we have composites, which automatically creates the composites. And also we have priority based element connection. So the connection between the elements are cleared automatically based on the priority that is set for the building materials. So inside AutoCAD, you have to do manually everything. The connection and all should be manually created. And then there's no classification system inside AutoCAD. And in Archicad, we support multiple classification system that can be used in schedules, property managers, and then in exporting file like IFC files. And then for publishing, we can batch plot the AutoCAD file. And then in Archicad, we have publisher sets using which you can publish multiple file formats. All right, so these are the tips and tricks that you can follow, like when you migrate from different CAD tools to Archicad. All right, that's all for today. So you can follow us on the social media on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And you can also find our YouTube channel where we'll post all the webinar recordings. So you can scan the QR code here and then go and watch the recordings there.